In this video, we're going to look at some slightly counterintuitive evidence for the resurrection of Jesus. We're going to ask this question: are there any other plausible explanations that would account for the facts that we've covered in this series so far? Facts that almost all historians agree are undisputed. Those facts include that Jesus died by crucifixion, he was buried in a tomb, and that tomb was empty on the first Easter morning, and that there has never been a body found. They also include the radical transformation in the followers of Jesus and the new movement that was launched. And finally, those facts include that those first followers of Jesus talked convincingly about meeting Jesus risen from the dead. What else could explain all that evidence? Well, maybe the appearances of Jesus didn't really happen, but were part of a legend that was created. Perhaps that legend grew over time. However, some problems exist with that theory. Firstly, the legend theory can't explain the empty tomb. Jesus' body should have been there. It can't explain those first eyewitnesses' accounts. And it can't explain how Paul, writing within just a few years of Jesus' death, talks about the hundreds of people who had seen him. So then, maybe the appearances were hallucinations. Maybe the witnesses were sincere, but they were sincerely recounting a hallucination. But a hallucination usually just happens to one person. How do you account for all the people that claim to have seen Jesus and who ate with him and even touched him? Historian Carl Bratton once said, even the more skeptical historians agreed that for primitive Christianity, the resurrection of Jesus from the dead was a real event in history, the very foundation of faith, and not a mythical idea arising out of the creative imagination of believers. So, what about this for an alternative explanation? Maybe Jesus didn't actually die on the cross. He merely passed out and revived in the tomb. But the Romans were really good at execution. They knew how to do it. There is no chance that the crucifixion wouldn't have killed Jesus. And the accounts of Jesus' crucifixion tell us that the Roman guards checked that Jesus was well and truly dead. And a final possible explanation: maybe the disciples stole the body from the tomb and hid it and then claimed Jesus rose from the dead. But why? Why would they do that? What possible benefit did it give them? And surely they would have owned up when facing the torture and death that many of them faced for claiming that Jesus rose from the dead. You know, it really is a struggle to find a plausible alternative explanation to all the facts of Jesus' resurrection. And that inability to find a plausible alternative is in itself great evidence that the resurrection really happened.